AskReddit by this is exciting. What are you absolutely 100% sure you saw but have no proof? In the summer sometime around 2005, in a suburb of Washington DC in Northern Virginia, a friend and I were driving on a small two-lane road with trees on either side. We saw a monkey drop from the trees and jump to the other side of the road. It then jumped and grabbed a low-hanging branch and swung back into the trees. I couldn't fucking believe it and my friend was as equally shocked. My buddy and I saw a young mountain lion cross the road in rural eastern Kansas one night. It stopped for a second and we got a good look at it. We reported it to Fish and Wildlife and they said there were no cougars in Kansas and we were mistaken by what we saw. Other people had claimed to see them but the government denied it. This was the early 2000s. A few years later someone caught one on a trail camera and they finally admitted they were coming into Kansas. I saw a lady I worked with sneak into the walk-in cooler where I worked, so I opened the door for fun, and I'll never forget this. She had just went to take a bite of a hard-boiled egg, but when she saw me she pushed the whole egg into her mouth and swallowed it whole. Then she said hi and acted like nothing happened. I still can hardly believe it. When I was 18 I worked in a kitchen and swear I saw one of the managers tuck a whole ass fucking pie under her shirt and walk out with it. The coolest shooting star ever. It lasted a very long time, like a solid 8-10 seconds. It looked like it was spraying sparkles out behind it, and the trail changed colors a few times, from red, to green, to purple, etc. Seen dozens of shooting stars. Never seen one remotely like that. It's called a fireball, and they are just larger than normal meteors, shooting stars dart. They are called bolides when they break apart, which may have been what you saw. We saw a bolide on a camping trip with my astronomy class. It was an amazing sight. Such a rare thing to see ever, let alone with a group of people interested in astronomy. Edit, spelling. Driving down the road at 1ish am at night, middle of the road, see a whitish grayish figure jump down from gum tree branch way high up 10-12 meters. No way a normal person could do that, and then it ran across the road and disappeared. Freaking yowies, they are real. Them drop bears are serious. Was playing outside with my older brother and saw him dash across the street. I was about to do the same until someone snatched me by shirt and a large white Chevy van blew by in front of me. My big brother had never crossed the street and it was him holding me by the shirt. Nope. I'm pretty sure I rang up John C. Reilly at my old bookstore job once. This was in Illinois and he was buying a few CDs. He was wearing sunglasses the whole time and was definitely being low-key. I didn't wanna just straight up ask him if he was JCR, but I wanted to say something cause I really like him, so I was like, hey, has anyone ever told you you look like someone famous? And he was quickly like, nope, and went on his way. I'm positive it was him, but none of my other co-workers even noticed him, so no one believed me. I approached a popular local TV news reporter at an event he was covering, although not on camera at that moment, shook his hand and said, hey, did anyone ever tell you that you look exactly like local news guy? He frowned a bit and said, very seriously, you know, I have heard that, but honestly, I just don't see the resemblance. I saw a penguin in California, few hours from SF. I was walking around in the middle of the day with a friend, and we see it near the beach. Poor thing shaking and just standing there. I called animal control and they didn't believe me. They kept saying, are you sure it's a penguin and is this some kind of prank? After a few minutes on the phone with them I was like, yeah, I'm standing fucking 5 feet away from it. It's definitely a penguin. Did they ever arrive? I saw a naked dude in the forest while I was in the train with my buddy. He did not believe me, but I'm 100% sure. I saw a naked lady once. Nobody believes me. I witnessed a squirrel actually tipping up a, presumably empty, discarded can of 7-Up, using its 2 front paws, like it was drinking it. This was on the front lawn of my kid's HS shortly after lunch. It happened. Really. A few years ago I was working in my backyard and a squirrel got into my neighbor's pizza box that was left on top of the trash can and grabbed the remaining Pizza Hut breadsticks, which were like 3 or 4 since they were not torn apart. He walks the top of my chain link fence, drops the breadsticks and runs since I'm nearby, so I pick up the bread and put it on top of the fence and walk away, and he comes back and takes it. It was the funniest thing. My brother didn't accidentally turn off the NES when I was about to beat his high score on Tetris. My brother didn't accidentally erase my Kingdom Hearts game after I saved it and was almost done with the game. When I was a teenager, my friends and I snuck onto the roof of this huge building that looks like the Taj Mahal, called the Haji Shrine. We used to do this thing where we would all tell our parents we were staying at the others' houses, and we'd go camp out in weird places and get into trouble. Anyways, we climbed down off the roof to go do whatever, and as we were coming around the corner of the building we heard this enormous whooshing sound, like someone swinging a huge broom really fast. When we came around to the other side we saw what looked like a bat with a 6-foot wingspan flapping around one of the light poles in the parking lot. We just stood there in awe watching until it flew away into the night about 10 seconds later. I always assumed it was an owl that was obscured by the bright light. We could really only see its silhouette. But it turned and performed maneuvers that looked. Fox Batak, a large flying fox? It amazes me that those things get so large. While walking through the parking lot from my office to my car one summer afternoon, I had this sudden vision that I was looking down from a height of several hundred yards over the parking lot and looking around the area from above. I could see myself walking toward my car. I saw cars driving down the surrounding roads, and I could see people walking through the parking lots of surrounding businesses and stores. Then the vision went away as I continued to walk to my car. It kinda shook me, so I looked around and saw the same people and cars I saw from above, that I could see within my field of view. This has happened twice in 2 different locations. Your player was adjusting the camera angle. I saw a man in a chicken costume on the London Underground get on the train, do a backflip just to casually walk out of the train again at the same stop like nothing happened. Did he snap the bad guy's neck and save the day? I was watching the Ice Liver stream late one night, about 8 years ago. It soothed my bedtime anxiety, just looking at the big old world and feeling small and tranquil. And this object came into view of the camera. Sort of shaped like an arrowhead, or a 3-sided long pyramid, toppled over. Started small and far from the camera's view. I assumed it was space debris, or a fancy satellite. But it just kept getting closer, and this thing was huge. Tons of square edge ridges on it, curved indents in symmetrical patterns, more and more detail. It looked enormous and it just kept coming closer and seeming bigger, but it was still so far away from the ice camera. I can't really express the size of it. So I put in the stream chat, "What is that thing?" A few seconds later the feed cut to static. God, do I wish I'd pressed print screen. https://yahoo.be/pasxflfmxtg?sin5qqtvls_vhs7lst. This 1250 is where the thing pops in view for a second. My husband died suddenly in 2016. I woke one night and he was sitting on the foot of our bed watching me. I wasn't afraid and he looked peaceful. He faded after a while and was gone. We had been together 46 years. Yes, I believe in spirits and I think he was letting me know it was okay. Don't care what naysayers claim. I believe you. Thank you for sharing. At a late night party in the MT Adams neighborhood of Cincinnati. Walked out on the balcony and witnessed the brilliant light of what appeared to be a meteor space debris burning out over the downtown area. It lit up the skyline for a brief second and then flamed out. Someone then came out and joined me and I said, "Did you see that?" They said, "What?" I told them what I saw and they said, "Sure yeah did dude." No mention in the news the next day. You should have went to investigate. You might be the chosen one. When I was 11, I spent the night with a friend whose grandpa worked at the zoo. The next morning we went with him to his early morning shift at the zoo, and so her and I got to kind of run around the zoo before anything was open and the animals are just kind of waking up. We were behind the rhinoceros habitat and we were looking through these knotholes in the fence, kind of spying on the rhinoceros for some reason. There was a really big log in their habitat, and the big, male, rhino ran up to the log and jumped up so that his 2 front feet were on the log. And then another rhino started making weird noises at him, like cheering him on, and he started rolling that log while his 2 front feet were still on it and walking on his back feet. It was like a circus trick or something, but they were acting that way by themselves. That is the only time in my life I've ever spied on a rhino. Having the run of the zoo must have been so much fun as an 11-year-old. When I was a kid I went outside to call my brother home. He was already running like mad across the road towards home and above him was a circular display of lights. They disappeared quickly. I don't believe in aliens and UFOs and all that shit, but it definitely happened and I can't explain it. Was it a flying object you couldn't identify? Bam, UFO. I've told this story before on Reddit. In a remote part of northern West Australia, I've seen a bird about 4 times the size of the largest known flight-able bat tearing into a kangaroo on the highway. We came around a hill and slammed on the brakes and it took off into the sky. Wingspan easily longer than our car. Mid-aughts, small blurb in the local paper, sidebar column, credits AP Newswire, about a confirmed and reproduced experiment at UC Berkeley, I believe in conjunction with DARPA, which exhibited cold fusion. It was described as being a very small-scale interaction which produced only a tiny amount of energy, and was said to have potential applications in cell phone technology and homeland security. I don't know if my friends played a prank and got a dummy copy of the news printed up or what, but I've never been able to track it down, or anything even close. But I read it, goddamn me. We'll be knocking on your door shortly. I saw a rare Mongolian wolf while I was on a trek and no one fucking believed me, not even the guides. I was coming over a hill and it was right in front of me, then ran off, still pissed that no one believed me. Me and my cousin were looking out the window together on a bright hot summer day and we saw yellow lightning just randomly hit the middle of the street. The skies were clear. I don't remember how clear, but definitely no storm clouds or anything. And yeah, I know all lightning is white, but sometimes it has that blue-violet tint around it. This one was yellow. Sounds like you experienced positively charged lightning. That shit is wild. Can hit in places hundreds of miles away from the storm. I saw it before, didn't believe it until I was told what I'm telling you. A week after my dad died, I saw him sitting in his chair in the day smiling at me. I was so happy to see him, but I don't know if I hallucinated him due to emotional stress and grief or it was real. About 6 months later I felt his presence and asked him to turn on the light, which it did straight away. Maybe there was a reason, but it just felt so strange, like he was there. Never been afraid of death since. I had a conversation with my grandmother roughly a week or so after her passing. I was only 7 years old and we were close. But when I was told of her death, I didn't cry. I remember my mom told me where I was, what I was doing, everything. I never cried. Then one day she's sitting on my bed. We said goodbye and she told me she loved me. And that was that. I didn't see, but I felt someone brush past me at a running speed when I went to Port Arthur in Tasmania. My partner wasn't standing next to me, nor were the other clients. It also wasn't remotely windy that night. Still sent shivers down my spine. For some reason, running ghosts in Port Arthur wouldn't surprise me. I mean, didn't they have a mass shooting there 30 years ago? Bull lighting. Watched it for a solid minute, then it disappeared. It fascinated me out so much I didn't even think about grabbing my phone. Alright, I saw something like that too. I was in my mom's office, and I was typing on a typewriter. I had the shift key held down and was looking for a letter. Suddenly I saw a little blue light about a foot away from my leg. It made like a little firework sound or something, then was immediately gone. I was only 8 or so, And I thought it was from holding the shift key too long, lol. Scared the crap out of me, but I rationalized it as some short circuit or something. Now I think it might have been a little ball lighting. Never saw anything like it again.